On the kitchen table after dinner and singing him Yiddish lullabies, beautiful Yiddish songs.
Joey was the joker of the family. His sharp wit turned out to be his ticket out of South Philly. At age 15, he drops out of high school and takes his show on the road.
Good evening, everyone.
Sandy Hackett, son of comedian Buddy Hackett, grew up amongst showbiz folk and heard the stories about Joey's long and accomplished career.
Joey Bishop was a lifelong friend of my father's. They were both comedians. They were both celebrities. They were both stars. And Joey was probably there when I was born. We lived next door to each other. Joey was always Uncle Joey to me. And he got his break, working in clubs and grinding it out like most performers. And then he got, I think Sinatra saw him somewhere and gave him a shot, and then used him when they went to Las Vegas for the Rat Pack to be the comic host.
Peter Lawford, Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra, Joey Bishop, and Dean Martin were the infamous Rat Pack, a gang of friends and performers who thrived on fame, money, and an endless supply of adoring women. But Joey was always the quiet one.
They called him the Mouse in the Rat Pack. They called him the Frown Prince of Comedy. His stand-up was very sedate and deadpan. He'd look at you straight in the eye and just hit you with a zinger.
These are some of the questions we've gotten from the audience. Are you married or single? I'm single. But I've given a lot of thought to marriage. That's why I'm single.
Joey, Joey, Joey.
Son of a gun.
Son of a gun. I do a great Joey Bishop.
Some other time in the past, I would have just come on there with this.
Joey hosted The Tonight Show for Johnny Carson. He did more hosting than anybody, including Jay Leno and Joan Rivers. He was the guy that Johnny always turned to fill in for him.
After a TV and stage career lasting 30 years, Joey calls it quits. He has more time to spend on his favorite pastime, golf, which is how he meets a local Orange County girl, Nora Garibaldi, in 1983.
I was 16 and a half, and I had been playing golf since I was 6 or 7 years of age, and participated in the junior golf program and competed in various events in Southern California. So I took golf pretty seriously. Initially, when we played golf a few times together, I believed he was very funny and clever and warm and caring, and I couldn't help but notice how handsome he was.
A year later, despite the almost 50-year age difference, Nora and Joey become lovers.
Joey was my first love, my first boyfriend. The first time Joey and I kissed, I was roughly 17 and a half to 18 years of age, and I believe Joey must have been 67 and a half or so. And I no longer thought of the age, I just thought of what a wonderful, warm, loving, caring, intelligent, funny human being that he was.
But sensing the scandalous nature of the relationship, they keep it discreet.
Well, initially, Joey and I, when it developed into a more intimate relationship, we did share it with some of Joey's closest friends.
Those in the know include Buddy Hackett, Joey's longtime friend, and his son, Sandy.
The age difference didn't surprise me at all. I wasn't really aware of it. That's who he was with. Being in Las Vegas when I was in my teens and my 20s, I saw everything. Everybody was with everybody, the classic, older guy, young girl. Every comic did a joke, said, this is my daughter. Yeah, right.
At first, Joey allows Nora to believe he's a single man.
Initially, when I met Joey, he did not wear a wedding ring, and he wore a bar mitzvah ring on his left pinky finger. So I had no idea that he was married.
A year into the affair, Nora discovers the truth. Joey's been married for more than 40 years.
He mentioned to me that he and his wife were going to Los Angeles to spend time with his grandchildren during the holiday season. And then I realized he was married, and I was very upset.
Wife? Did you just say wife?
Have always tried doing things in a very ethical manner and in a good-hearted fashion.
What are you talking about?
Because of my age and my youth and my inexperience in a relationship and being so attached to Joey and so attracted to him, I think that's what allowed me to go forward in this relationship. I remember saying to myself I could not possibly imagine a life without him. He meant that much to me.
Joey's wife turns a blind eye as the affair continues apace.
He would travel to various cities, especially Las Vegas, Nevada, to enjoy a boxing bout. He loved boxing. Sometimes our outings consisted of golf. Sometimes we just got away just so we could spend time and be together.
My first vision of Nora, I just remember she was with Joe, and I remember Sylvia also. And then at one point there was no more Sylvia and Joey was with Nora.
Joey always told me that he did not have a close relationship with his wife. There was bickering going on and he was very lonely. So I think that may have added to me staying in the relationship.
Joey seemed a lot happier to have Nora around. Nora doted on Joey. She seemed to take care of him, look after him, you know, always be there, taking care of him, you know, stroking his head, fixing his hair, fixing his collar and stuff like that. Very loving.
But neighbors on Lido Isle have a different impression of Joey's marriage. Bruce Hinkle, a local handyman and caretaker, sees evidence of a solid partnership.
Joey and Sylvia were always busy doing things. I'd see him out at the store. I'd see him at the local drugstore. They were together quite often.
Bob Reno, another Lido Isle resident, has known Joey and Sylvia for over 25 years.
Joey was very active. His wife, Sylvia, they would go out to dinner with a lot of people on the island. It was like a couple's night, you know, they would all four to get together. Everything was wonderful.
Joey met Sylvia in 1940 after one of his nightclub appearances. They married and had one son, Larry.
My impression of Joey's relationship with his son Larry is that it wasn't, it was strained. I don't think they got along particularly well.
Larry Bishop, a film director, insisted on making his own way in Hollywood.
I think, like a lot of sons of famous people, Larry was seeking to be his own identity. You know, instead of allowing his father to help him, he tried to do stuff on his own, and that created a rift.
But Joey does manage to maintain a relationship with his two grandsons, Scott and Kirk.
I remember Joey introducing me to Scott and Kirk, and Joey had a loving relationship with them, and they would come over during the course of the summertime for a few weeks. And ever since they were born, Joey placed $10,000 into each one of their bank accounts. So his grandchildren, Scott and Kirk, meant the absolute world to him.
Nora and Joey have been having an affair for 16 years when Sylvia's health begins to fail.
Sometime in the summer of 1999, Joey shared with me that his wife's health was unfortunately declining, and she unfortunately had cancer. And at one point in time, he asked me to please come over to the house and provide groceries and do some of her bedding and laundry.
On September 20th, 1999, Sylvia Bishop dies, age 81. A few days later, Sylvia is cremated and Joey spreads her ashes at sea. But some family members are conspicuous by their absence.
Unfortunately, Larry was not there, and nor were his grandchildren, which I'm sure Joey would have loved to have his grandchildren present and there for him.
Larry and the grandsons are now the only remaining heirs to Joey's $8 million estate. But Joey's young lover is about to take a central place in his life and his financial affairs.
When I moved in with Joey, he was roughly 81 years old, and I must have been around 32.
And the scent of scandal starts to drift across Lido Isle.
She was starting to get an idea. an idea of trying to go after some money in his life.
Rat Pack comedian Joey Bishop is widowed after a 56-year marriage. The loss is a serious blow to Joey. But he has 32-year-old Nora Garibaldi at his side, the woman he's been having an affair with for 16 years.
I was visiting him daily, not living with him quite yet, but visiting him daily after work and spending valuable, nice time with him. We spent time taking beautiful walks outside. Sometimes we would go to his favorite Italian restaurant, which was nearby his home. We would spend time, reading the paper in the morning, doing puzzles, which he loved. He loved doing jumbles and cryptograms and crossword puzzles. I think everything accumulatively led to Joey asking me to please move in with him.
But the Lido Isle neighbors have a very different picture of Nora and Joey's relationship.
It became known in the Lido Island community that Joey had a live-in assistant after Sylvia's death.
Lynn Beaumont lives next door and sees what she believes is a purely professional relationship.
Nora had told me that she was his personal assistant and his secretary, that she did his fan mail and answered letters and sent pictures out to people and took care of his appointments. She told me that she had worked for him for a number of years and that she disclosed to me that she made $500 a week. He didn't speak to her as you would a person that you're in love with or caring about on a personal level. He would just say, "Nora, I'm hungry," and she would get dinner and,
I'm on it, sir.
"Nora, bring me this," or "Nora, bring me that."
It didn't appear in any form other than a business relationship that she was Joey's aide.
Whatever the true nature of this relationship, Nora keeps it a secret from almost everyone, including her own parents.
I am very close to my mother and father. However, I didn't think they would understand the age difference between us. And I've always been honest and upfront with my parents, but I did not want to hurt their feelings. And then eventually, when I moved in with Joey, I told my mother and father that I was living with a close girlfriend.
Sorry, what did you say, Mom?
The romance never ended, and our love for one another and our relationship never changed. In February of 2002, Joey asked me to marry him. At the time, I was uncertain about the media coverage and, of course, the age difference and what others thought of it. I should have actually followed my heart and married him. I regret that to this day.
It's a decision that will have huge repercussions after Joey's death. As Joey gets older and more frail, more and more he seeks the company of his rabbi, Reuven Mintz.
We had a beautiful relationship. In addition to that I was his rabbi, we had a very, very close personal relationship. He loved the Jewish holidays. Hanukkah was one of his favorite. We went over there together with Joey, kindled his menorah that he kindled every single night of Hanukkah. It was a very joyous occasion. We sang some songs together with him. He sang some songs in Yiddish to us.
I knew Rabbi Mintz from visiting Joey. He was very important to Joey's life and participated in Joey's faithfulness.
Joey was there. That's how Jewish he was. It was Joey Bishop. It was very important to him.
Rabbi Mintz and the children's charity that he represents is uppermost in Joey's mind when he decides to revise his will.
On several occasions, almost every occasion, I would say, he said, the bulk of my estate is to go to this foundation. And I said, Joey, that's a very worthy cause. And then he showed me a big book that was on the coffee table in the living room and said, these are all of the things about Shabbat. Sometimes you should look through it. I never did.
Joey calls a meeting to rewrite his will. He gathers all of his closest advisors. The lawyer, Ed Hookstratton, financial advisor, Miles Himes, the rabbi, Reuven Mintz. And there's a fourth man, a man who would become an important and controversial presence in the final years of Joey's life, James Chemo McCormick. Lawyers, friends, his lover, and a rabbi, all of them have a stake in Joey Bishop's estate. And as Joey gets older and more confused, he will become increasingly vulnerable to outside influence.
He was pretty far along in regards to the dementia, without question.
Joey Bishop, a wealthy comedian and former member of Frank Sinatra's Rat Pack, is worth an estimated $8 million. In 2004, age 86, Joey holds a meeting at his home to discuss his will. His longtime entertainment lawyer, Ed Hookstratton, brings another lawyer, Chemo McCormick, who will take the lead in organizing Joey's estate.
Ed Hookstratton introduced Chemo McCormick to Joey, stating, Chemo McCormick is a damn fine lawyer and a good friend, and he will be able to accomplish your estate planning.
Rabbi Reuven Mintz is also present.
I was invited to that meeting on Joey's request. Joey had spoken of the friendship circle, of its creation, of the legacy that he intended, that he desired, that he wished for, that would focus on children with special needs.
But Joey is adamant about one thing. Larry is cut out.
Joey made it very clear that he did not want to provide any inheritance for his son whatsoever.
Rabbi Mintz gathers that Joey has no plans to leave money to Nora or the lawyers.
Nothing was going to be going to his caregiver, Garabati, his attorney, Hookstratton, his attorney, McCormick, or his accountant, Himes.
The meeting wraps up, and McCormick tells Joey he'll draft up a will. In the following weeks, Nora, Joey, and McCormick start to spend time with each other socially.
Joey and I loved James Chemo McCormick very much. He visited regularly, he was very kind and seemed compassionate and caring, took his time in explaining everything, and the more he came to visit us, the more we learned to trust him.
August 2004. Joey signs his will, leaving the majority of his $8 million estate to children's charities. His two grandsons will each inherit $1 million. At this point, Joey also decides to leave $100,000 to Nora and $50,000 each to Hookstratton and Himes. But his neighbors believe Joey may be vulnerable and easily influenced.
My idea of what dementia is starting to show signs as early as 2002 when he was yelling at some contractors across the street. You know, it was his just demeanor and the manner that he approached them I thought was odd. It wasn't Joey as I've known him.
Nora is convinced Joey is of sound mind.
In 2004 and early 2005, Joey is very sharp and lucid and well aware of all that is going on in relation to his estate planning.
But less than 6 months after signing his will, Joey rethinks.
His grandchildren had not visited or made any phone contact with him, and he was very upset. He was struggling. He loved his grandsons, but they did not come to visit, they did not call.
Joey cuts his grandsons Scott and Kirk out of his will, and then makes another dramatic change.
In the first half of 2005, Joey communicated to Rabbi Reuven Mintz that he no longer considered giving to any children's charities, including the rabbis.
Why does he abandon an organization that seems so close to his heart? Mintz says he's not even told about the change.
In September of 2004, Joey had told me he had executed and signed the will and everything was set in place and taken care of.
The rabbi's visits decreased significantly, and I still remember Joey telling me, "I wonder what happened to the rabbi." And then Rabbi Reuven Mintz's visit stopped altogether, and Joey said, "I am very disappointed in the rabbi's behavior and believed he was only interested in money."
We never had a falling out. We had a beautiful relationship, as many can attest to.
Rabbi Mintz insists that Nora is the one who kept him away from Joey.
Nora Garibati, the caregiver, began not to allow me into the home. When I called for Joey, she would not give the phone to Joey. She took total control of Joey's home.
The rabbi's lawyer, Robert Weinberg, becomes suspicious of the dramatic changes in Joey's estate planning.
There's a radical alteration. Now the money, instead of going in bulk to children's charities, goes to his caretaker, Nora Garibati, his lawyer, Ed Hookstratton, and his accountant, Miles Himes. So, to a great extent, the money guys get the money. Excluded now is the beloved charity, the close friend and confidant rabbi, and the grandchildren. Unusual, I would say.
Nora's share now increases to 50% of the estate. Hookstratton will get 40% and Himes 10%. On March 19, 2005, Joey signs his revised will. He also wants to make McCormick a beneficiary, but legally the lawyer drafting the will is not allowed to inherit. McCormick suggests that Joey should simply state his intentions in a handwritten note.
James Kimo McCormick could not be a recipient of a gift because it was unethical and unlawful. He suddenly was now telling him to write a note to circumvent the whole idea. And I remember something in the back of my mind saying, this doesn't sound quite right, but I remained quiet. I actually regret not standing up and stating, Joey, something doesn't sound right here, we should get it checked out.
At this point, family friend Sandy Hackett notices a rapid decline in Joey's physical condition.
You could see he was frail, he was slow. He wasn't the young, strong guy I knew. I mean, when I was, I think, probably 15 or 16, Joey taught me to box. I'd come up to his house, we'd go work out in his garage, and we'd hit the bag and the speed bag, and then one day he said, we're gonna put on gloves and hit each other. And then he's put his hand out there, and we touched gloves a few times. He goes, now I'm gonna hit you. And he hit me a whack, and I went, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't fun. But in his mid-80s there, he was not in that kind of health anymore.
It's not just Joey's physical condition. His mental condition is also fast declining. It puts into question whether Joey can make rational decisions concerning his last will and testament.
Now, anybody who's looking for the truth here can find no source more reliable and trustworthy than a statement made to a neurologist by Joey's caregiver, Nora Garibati. Can't remember grandsons' names. For the last several weeks, he's been asking if his brothers and sisters are alive. Got confused the other day and thought someone had told him that his son had passed away. Raises some questions.
Questions that will lead to suspicion, anger, and some serious accusations.
She's as angry as can be, and she said, you are no longer allowed to see Joey.
Rat Pack comedian Joey Bishop is 88 years old. and those closest to him are the potential inheritors of his $8 million estate. Neighbors are concerned about his mental health, and in 2006, after suffering a broken ankle, Joey's senility takes a turn for the worse.
There would be days where he would know who I was and why I'm there, or there would be days he'd look at me and say, "What are you here for? What are you doing?" and question that. It was an off and on thing, but more off than on.
Lynn also believes that Nora is getting increasingly protective of Joey.
She said, "You are no longer allowed to see Joey." And I said, "Why?" I'd been such a part of his life all that summer and her life all that summer. And she said, "Joey is becoming too dependent upon you." I did not see Joey again. Nora denied any access, any phone call, any meeting with Joey. I never saw Joey Bishop again, ever.
I used to be able to walk right through the gate of Joey's house, like no problem to come on in and see him. But I realized that suddenly one day when I opened up Joey's gate, I couldn't open up Joey's gate. I had to push a button, and when I pushed that button, I would hear Nora's voice.
"Nora, it's Bob. Could you let me in, please?"
And she would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, you can't come see him right now." And this would happen not one day, but it would happen a day after day after day after day after.
July 2007. As Joey's health gets worse, he's having second thoughts about leaving money to Chemo McCormick.
I remember within a week of Joey arriving home from the hospital, he asked if his estate planning was in order, and we began discussing how much his attorneys were getting, and he said he did not want them to get this, and something in his mind was saying something isn't right here.
Nora says that Joey asks her to fire James McCormick and ensure he does not receive any money from the estate.
There were certainly suspicions on Joey's part and a mistrust on his attorneys. Even Joey had me go to our safe deposit box at our local bank and retrieve the note that James Chemo McCormick had instructed Joey to write, which benefited him and his friend Ed Hookstratton. And I did so and brought it home, and Joey tore it up, saying he did not trust them. Joey also wrote notes to my benefit during this time, which related to his wish in giving me the house, monies that we shared in our bedroom, and various assets around the house.
You did the right thing.
Joey, sensing his death is near, calls for another Orange County rabbi and friend, Bernard King.
Joey trusted me, and that was very precious because Joey had learned not to trust very many people. The day before he died, I visited him in the hospital. Joey had an oxygen mask over his face. He said, "Well, I don't want to die, but if I do, will you be there?" And I said, "Joey, I promise you, if I can, I'll be there with you."
It was very upsetting, very, very stressful for me. I remember I would stay overnight at the hospital, and all I would do is pay attention to the monitor in his room as far as what his blood pressure was, his vitals, his oxygen level, and that's all I did.
Nora decides now is the time to disclose her relationship to her parents.
I realized with certainty that Joey's health was declining, and I chose to go visit my mother and father and tell them that I had been in a relationship for over 2 decades that they were unaware of. And I remember my mother and father being very supportive, and of course they were surprised and shocked because they last knew of a golfing relationship sometime in the mid-1980s.
On October 17th, 2007, Joey Bishop dies peacefully in bed. He is 89 years old.
He was in his own home with familiar settings on the bayfront, which he enjoyed most of his lifetime. Those closest to him were present when he passed away. Myself, Rabbi Bernie King, who presided over him and gave him his last rites.
Joey is cremated and his ashes cast into the Pacific Ocean.
We went out on a private boat, and Joey had been cremated, which is not something you normally do in Jewish tradition.
It's kind of strange, but 18 years preceding his death, he told me he wanted me to have his ashes. Actually, I'll show you. I actually have a piece that I keep close to my heart, and I wear this every day of my life. And these are his ashes.
And I remember just watching Nora. You know, she didn't take her eyes off the container there and watched it bobbing in the water. She was definitely lost in her thoughts, and I think she loved him very much.
The Lido Isle neighbors are not invited to Joey's funeral.
I can't really name a person that was invited to Joey's funeral, which was quite disturbing for a lot of folks, including myself.
You couldn't even contact her because she would kind of like hide from you instead. She had a lot planned. She seemed like a somewhat smart gal. She had this all planned in her mind from the way it's turning out now.
Joey's estate is estimated to be worth $8 million. Nora is due to inherit half, and a handwritten note says she is also to get the valuable Lido Isle house. But the note turns out to have no legal value whatsoever.
I continued living in our home for 1 year after Joey's death. Then I started having some issues with James Kemal McCormick, whereas his treatment of me changed significantly.
McCormick promptly orders Nora to move out of Joey's Lido Isle home.
He told me Joey was dead. He didn't care about his wishes. All I was merely was a subordinate, a tenant, and all kinds of things that were going to happen that I was unaware of. And it was very upsetting to me to have had to go through this upsetting moment after Joey's death. And it made me realize that James Kemal McCormick was not, in fact, a friend.
Nora hires her own lawyer and sues them all.
The reason I had sued the 2 attorneys and the accountant was to preserve Joey's wishes, and I wasn't about to sit back and allow others to take advantage of Joey's estate.
But neighbor and friend Lynn Beaumont has another theory.
I hate to use the word conspiracy, but I think there was a conspiracy that they were going to take hold of Joey's estate, divide it their number of ways, 4 or 5 ways or whatever, amongst themselves. And when Nora was told that she couldn't live on Lido Island and live in the house, she got very angry and turned on the very people that she was plotting with.
Nora will have to prove she was Joey's sweetheart and not his caregiver. Otherwise, she is legally barred from inheriting a dime of Joey's estate.
Ed Gregory Hookstratton and Miles Himes painted me to be Joey's caregiver and that I had committed elder abuse.
Joey Bishop has left half his estate to his girlfriend of 20 years and the other half to his lawyers. But Nora Garibaldi is not satisfied with half. She sues Hookstratton, Himes, and McCormick, alleging that they conspired to manipulate a senile old man and gain personally from the estate. Nora hires experienced litigator Robert A. Julian.
Nora Garibaldi requested me to represent her in connection with the losses she suffered as a result of the estate planning for Joey Bishop. We had a case essentially of he said, she said. Nora Garibaldi explained that, in her view, she believed Kemal McCormick was the one who put Joey Bishop up to giving 50% of his estate to the lawyers, and Kemal McCormick said that's not how it happened.
The media gets wind of the court battle, and Nora's claim about her 20-year romance with Joey goes public. Rabbi King is shocked.
You know, I first became aware of a romantic relationship between Joey and Nora after he died, when I read it in the newspaper. Prior to that, I knew they had a very close relationship. a very loving relationship, but I had no idea, the depths of that relationship.
But this is exactly what Nora has to prove in court. A lover can inherit, but a caregiver cannot.
Nora did not describe her relationship with Joey in an intimate manner at all, ever.
To even conjure up the ideal that he had a romantic feeling for Nora was the most absurd of notions that I could imagine. And I can't believe anybody would ever believe anything different that knew Nora and Joey.
Ed Gregory Hookstratton and Miles Himes painted me to be Joey's caregiver, and that I had committed elder abuse. And I found the claim to be completely and totally outrageous.
Nora calls witnesses to testify on her behalf.
Some of Joey's physicians that were involved in his life said I was a wonderful person. In fact, his neurologist even thought that there was a loving relationship between us and that I was not, in fact, the caregiver.
McCormick's credibility is shaken when, during deposition, he reveals an extraordinary fact.
McCormick, in 30 years of practicing law as a mergers and acquisition lawyer, had never drafted a single trust instrument or will in his life for a client.
Nora and her lawyer twist the knife. They accuse the lawyers of attempting to illegally siphon off money from the Joey Bishop estate.
McCormick had structured the transactions with Hookstratton and Himes solely in order to get the transfer back to McCormick in what we allege to be a kickback.
I never heard of an attorney manipulating an individual's estate to benefit themselves. It is highly unethical, in my opinion, and unconscionable as well.
The legal proceedings last for almost a year. Finally, both sides agree to settle. The terms of the settlement will forever remain a closely guarded secret. But financially, Nora is the big winner. She walks away with several $1 million.
My goal was to preserve Joey's wishes, which were to give me the majority of his estate. Also, another goal of mine was to reveal what James Kimo McCormick had done. And between me and my attorney, we successfully embarked on that.
In 2008, the Joey Bishop estate is settled. But no one has told Rabbi Mintz. With the Chabad charity completely cut out of Joey's will, Mintz sues Hookstratton, McCormick, Himes, and Nora, accusing them of blocking Joey's final wishes.
Joey's intention was to leave this to Chabad for the creation of the Friendship Circle that would be dedicated to children with special needs of all races and religions.
I think the rabbi was a putz. I think he was a ganef. I think he wanted to procure for himself what he wanted instead of procuring for Joey's loved ones what Joey wanted them to have.
The rabbi's case is thrown out of court. The wording in Joey's original will was far too vague.
You see, I don't believe that Rabbi Mintz knew that the first document did not include Chabad by name. Joey had merely left his money to children's charities in the abstract.
Joey's neighbors are dismayed to discover that Nora has won out in court and inherited Joey's millions.
It was shocked. People were absolutely shocked. Some people would say, oh, she deserved it. She had to put up with his sickness for all of those years. And the majority of people said, how could this happen?
The true motives of those closest to Joey in his final years will remain a mystery. A mystery that provokes strong feelings on all sides.
He wanted the friendship circle and the children to be taken care of. And this, as far as I'm concerned, is a travesty to his life.
She should have gotten more. Nora Garibaldi should have gotten everything Joey ever intended. You know, anybody that got another piece, they didn't deserve. She was there for a long time, and from everything I saw and was part of, Joey loved her very much and wanted her to have everything he could give her.
Joey always called me his soulmate and the love of his life, and I always felt the same, and we had a wonderful, beautiful, loving relationship, which in my opinion will last my entire life.